there, Jonathan here, and welcome to Learn to Playthrough, and welcome back to the playthrough of Mansions of Madness, First Edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch. We're now going to be continuing on with round 15, but first let's go ahead and do a recap to see what happened last time. Well, last time seemed like a non-productive set of rounds. They finished off the maniac over by the hallway by the master bedroom. Jenny ran back in, ended up picking up the magic phrase and the second clue, and went ahead and said goodbye to Harvey, and she'll be back to get him so they can take him back and give him a proper burial. And then the keeper, he just didn't really do much, and not in a bad way, because he looked at everything and saw everything going on, and especially as the event cards, they accelerated in their time, he knew that definitely the investigators are going to be out of time. Most likely, yep, they're going to be out of time. Unless they can pull something out of their hats, they are going to be out of time. So the investigators made quick haste, ran out of the hallway, through the burning hallway, into the foyer, down the stairs, and now they're making their way up the second set of stairs towards the basement. So now, let's go ahead and continue on with round 15. So the beginning of the round, the investigators are up first, and we're going to go ahead and start with Jenny Barnes. So Jenny Barnes is going to get her 2 movement steps and her action step. So she's going to go ahead and use her movement step to move up the second set of stairs there to the top. She turns, and before she goes into the door, motions to Michael and go, "Come on, Michael, let's go. Let's finish this off once and for all." So Jenny uses her second movement action, and she moves through the door and down into the basement area, down some rickety old stairs, and she gets to the bottom of the stairs and there's another door. So now Jenny is going to go ahead and use her action step. So for Jenny's action step, she's going to go ahead and use the run action and use another movement to go through that door. So she goes up to the door, and she's going to go ahead and try and move through the door, but it is locked. So we'll go ahead and see what the lock says. And it says, "Magical lock. The door leading into this room is sealed with a lock that will only open if you know the proper phrase. This door is locked." But luckily enough for Jenny, she knows what it is. She reaches into her purse and she pulls out the magic phrase. Discard this card when you attempt to move through a magical lock. To discard the lock card. So Jenny's going to go ahead and use the magical phrase, and then all of a sudden she hears click, click, whirl, whirl, click. The door unlocks, and then she can continue on with her movement that goes into this room. So now that Jenny entered into the basement landing, she sees some kind of creature across the room there, and now Jenny is going to have to do a horror test. So Jenny has a willpower of 7. And then we have to look at the horror rating of the monster, and the monster's horror rating is a -1. So Jenny has a 7 -1, so she's going to have to do a horror test and get a 6 or less. All right, well, there's a automatic success, so Jenny's okay with that. And then with that, that is going to end Jenny's turn. Next up, Michael McGlenn. So Michael is going to be quick on the heels of Jenny, and he gets 2 movement steps and an action step. So he'll go ahead and do his movement steps. So he'll go ahead and take 1 movement up the top of the stairs, and then he'll do a 2nd movement through the door down the rickety old stairs down into the basement, and then he'll go ahead and do his action step. So with the action step, he'll go ahead and do a run, and he'll go ahead and do another movement as he enters into the basement landing, and he sees some hunched over old lady kind of moving around on the other end of the room, and then Michael will have to do a horror test. So we go ahead and find out what Michael's willpower is, and that one is an 8. And then the horror rating of the zombie is a -1, so 8 minus 1 is 7. So we'll see what Michael gets, if he gets a 7 or less. Alright, so Michael McLean rolls an 8, so he fails his horror test. And he will go ahead and get another horror. So now he has 3 out of 6. And with that, that is going to end Michael McGlynn's turn. So next up is the keeper turn. Step 1, investigator trading step. The investigators are in the same space, but they don't really have any items they would like to trade with each other. So we'll go ahead and skip step 1. Step 2, gain threat step. So our keeper is going to get 2 threat tokens because there are 2 investigators. And now we have a different kind of a threat token here, and it's got a number 5 on it. So we'll go ahead and put a 5 down here, and we'll remove 3 of the single threat tokens. So now the keeper is up to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 threat tokens. Step 3, keeper action step. So the keeper looks at everything and knows that the time is running out for the investigators. So he's just going to sit back, watch, and relax. Now one thing I did notice here is that on the event card here, the 4th one, it says reveal objectives. So when you reveal the objective, you look at the objective card, and we're doing objective 1A. And it says when this objective is revealed, which it was last round, discard all lock cards and the maniac attack card from play. So the maniac attack card has got removed from play, and then we remove all lock cards from play. So remove this one, this one, and then this one down here in the garden. So then at this point, this is when the investigators are going to know exactly what they have to do. So the keeper wins if the final event card is resolved. As you can see, there's just 1 time token left to be placed, and that last card is going to be resolved. For the investigator, it says the investigators win if Walter, the named maniac, is killed. So the whole time, we're supposed to be looking for Walter. So that's going to end step 3, keeper action step. Now we go on to step 4, monster attack step. So the monster is in the same room as the investigators, but the monster is in the space on the left, and the keeper did not use the keeper action card to command the minion to move, so the monster is too far away to even attack. So we can go ahead and skip that step and move on to step 5, event step. So during step 5, event step, we go ahead and take a time token and we put it on the event deck, And as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3 time tokens, which then fulfills card number 5's 3 time token requirement. So we'll go ahead and remove those 3 time tokens. And let's go ahead and look at our last card here. Clock strikes 2, the fall of House Lynch. As the clock strikes 2, the ground begins to shake. Something ancient and deep beneath the house rapidly pulls the foundation down into the ground. The answers no longer matter as investigators and monsters struggle for their lives. So, what is the answer to question 1? 1A. 1A, the keeper wins the game. Bum, bum, bum. So after the foundation is pulled down into the ground and the dust and the debris has settled, deep in the pile of rubble and bodies, a possessed Walter Lynch cackles weakly with his last breath. So there you have it, Mansions of Madness, first edition, in a solo mode. Now as the keeper, you know where everything is, but the game forces you to go in certain directions, just like in a video game. So when the investigators came in, and they came into the foyer, they smelt burnt food, which basically said, hey, we need to go to the kitchen to see what's up with that. So they went from the foyer over here to the kitchen, where they ended up finding a silver key. Then they also found the first clue, which revealed the blackened footprints on the ground. So with that, the blackened footprints led out of the kitchen, across the foyer, up into the hallway. So at that point, when they were up there, they fought that burning humanoid, and they saw that the blackened footprints walked around the hallway and into the master bedroom. So with that, they were able to go ahead and enter into the master bedroom by the use of the silver key, and then they found a puzzle. And in the puzzle, they went ahead and opened it up and found the second clue. And the second clue had a journal note in there talking about the death of his wife and where he possibly placed her, which is with the other bodies, which would then lead them down here to the basement. So when they got down to the basement, then this door was locked, and it was a magical lock that needed a magic phrase. Well, in the puzzle box that was up here in the master bedroom, they found the magic phrase. So now they were able to get into the basement. But they got there a little bit too late, because on the 4th event card, it talks about placing a time token on the next event card. So that basically sped up time a little bit, which they didn't know about it, but they were in a real race against time trying to get there. So I hope you enjoyed the videos and now have a better understanding of the game. Now remember that this game is meant for 2 to 5 players, where one player is the keeper and the other players are the investigators. But as you saw, I think I did a good enough / fair enough job running it solo, even though I knew where everything was. Mansions of Madness First Edition doesn't really have that high of a replayability to it as opposed to other games, but the story that we just ran through, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch, has a replayability factor of 12 different variations of this story that we just ran through, because it has 3 different story choice answers that you can pick from. So other than the 3 answers that you can choose from question 1, there are 2 answers from question 2 and 2 answers from question 3. And with those combinations, they will give you 12 different storyline variations that you can choose from. Now remember, way back at the beginning when we were setting up the game, that we went ahead and we seeded certain rooms in the mansion. And then there was cards left over that we placed into the unseated rooms. Well, those are going to give you a little bit different variations of the game, because if you come across this exploration card, it might be the fire extinguisher. Whereas next time you come to this card, it could be that sedative. So then, what I like doing after a game that involves cards on the game board is to flip them over to see what I missed. So go ahead and join me in the Spoiler Alert playlist to see what other cards were out there. But till then, I hope you join me next time, as there are plenty more creaky old mansions throughout the world to investigate.